And when I got married 44 years ago, we didn't have a lot of money. My husband wanted to buy me a diamond ring, and I said no, and I ended up with a pearl necklace.
So today we're here for another episode of Love, Exes, and O's. And I'm Leah Mayersohn.
And I'm Denise Isaacs.
And today's episode we're both super excited about because all women love bling. And today we're going to talk about engagement bling because we get questions all the time about everything engagement.
Right. And this is the last question we have gotten that is driving us absolutely crazy. The husband bought his wife an engagement ring on a credit card, and she believes that he has violated it, the spirit of giving her a gift, and now there is money that's owed on a credit card, and she doesn't want to pay half.
So did he put any money down for the ring?
Must have put some money down on the ring, but he bought a ring that was out of his price range. But
this is fundamentally a disagreement over money values. And this goes back to the fact that before someone gets engaged, before they decide to get married, they need to discuss their viewpoints on money, on how they're going to handle money, on what should be joint, on what should be separate, on who's going to be responsible for absolutely everything. And I fault these parties when you're talking about it on not having this discussion up front. And that's why we're in this place now. But I think there are a lot of key questions that have to be answered to determine who's in the right and who's in the wrong on this particular scenario.
Right. And before the marriage, these people should have had a financial discussion. No one is going to tell me that she didn't know that he didn't have enough money to buy her a fancy engagement ring that she could flash around to her friends.
Well, maybe. You know, I have a lot of scenarios where the guys walk around with fancy Rolexes, driving a fancy car. Their house might be empty of furniture. And a lot of times I see that the women aren't asking key financial questions. I've also seen this from men as well. I've seen a lot of women who are dating men that are beneath them, and the men are getting fancy Rolexes and other things and never ask questions about how all this stuff is getting paid for.
Until they get married, and then they see the credit cards that somebody owes a couple of $100,000 on their credit cards and can't afford it.
Absolutely. And I think it's incumbent upon everyone to do their due diligence before they get married and to have these discussions.
However, we're talking about an engagement ring and a woman who thought that she was getting a gift. A gift that now comes after the marriage that she has to pay for half of the gift.
Well, that's why I said you have to ask some key questions up front to determine who's right and who's wrong in this conversation.
How many of your clients come in and they knew all the finances from the beginning? Me, less than 50%.
I would say maybe 60% understand the finances, and maybe 40% have zero clue about the finances. And I think it depends on the age of the people. I would say overall, when we're dealing with older couples getting divorced, oftentimes one spouse has zero clue about the finances.
True.
When we're talking about younger couples, I think that the younger couples are much more savvy about these types of issues.
Oh, I don't think so at all. Especially the ones who come for before the prenups, they know nothing about the finances of the other party.
I think in a traditional scenario where you're talking about a man and a woman, if the man's going to be buying the engagement ring, then they have to have a discussion. If the woman is asking for a ring that the guy can't afford, then I think that she should help pay for it or contribute to it. But if the guy has the money, I think he should buy the ring, and I don't think she should be involved with paying for it.
In this scenario, it looks like they're both living paycheck to paycheck. And if she knew that he was living paycheck to paycheck and that his car was paying for his car and paying for the house, or I'm sorry, his rental apartment was really difficult for him, I think that it behooves her to pay for half of it. But the women who commented on this particular issue went nuts. They went absolutely nuts, saying that this should have been a gift. I think that since she is so upset about this, that this is an issue in their marriage, and it doesn't look good to me for the future.
I agree. It doesn't look good for the future, because I think if you're in this type of a situation and she's that materialistic that she has to have a ring that's way beyond his means, I think that they're headed for trouble and she's not a true partner in life. But I think overall, I understand that people think there should be a gift of an engagement ring prior to getting married, but she should have set her expectations properly, and he shouldn't be living beyond his means. And it sounds like he was trying to make her happy.
And thinking that he could pay for it over the next couple of years, but she would be able to go around and be happy. So he was trying to make her happy. It's totally old-fashioned for anyone to think that the man should pay for the ring. But I am telling you that I don't know. Me, I think that the man should pay for the ring.
It's okay. You don't have to be embarrassed about having that viewpoint. That's okay.
And when I got married 44 years ago, we didn't have a lot of money. My husband wanted to buy me a diamond ring, and I said no, and I ended up with a pearl necklace.
Is that the necklace you're wearing today?
No.
Okay.
We're getting back to the tradition and whether or not a man should be the one who buys the ring, and whether or not, I don't know if men know about, different kinds of diamonds. There's like fake diamonds and imitation diamonds and lab-grown diamonds. I don't know if this particular husband knew about that.
Definitely, he had a lot of options, and he could have picked something that was within his budget. And I think he made a mistake in getting something that he couldn't afford. And if she pressured him to get something that he couldn't afford, then she made a huge mistake as well. I personally wouldn't want a lab-grown diamond, but if I was with someone and that's all that they could afford, I certainly wouldn't question it, because I would never want to put someone in an uncomfortable financial position.
And let's talk about what if she found out about this before the marriage and then she broke off the marriage with him. The question is, does she give him the ring back or does she not give him the ring back? What do you think?
She has to give him the ring back, because the ring is a promise to get married and she didn't fulfill the promise.
Exactly. This is the issue in Florida. Florida's a no-fault state. So if the female fiance ends the engagement, she has to give the ring back. If they both mutually agree to end the engagement, the ring has to go back. This is law, okay? Law is murky. Generally speaking, you have to give the ring back. But there are some issues and there are some judges where if the male fiance who gave the conditional gift is the one who ended it, he doesn't get it back. And she could sue.
I mean, I've had quite a few male clients who've asked me if they can get the engagement ring back in the process of a divorce. And I always tell them, no, you're not getting the ring back. Just let her keep it. Mostly people in divorces get to keep the jewelry that they've acquired during the divorce unless there's something unusual about it, such as they've spent an unusual amount of money on jewelry during a divorce. Or these days, I'm seeing a lot of people who have $1 million Birkin bag collections or $1 million handbag collections. And that I'm seeing be a hotly litigated issue these days.
What happens was hotly litigated because why?
Because the husband wants half of it. And guess what? It's marital property if it's purchased during the marriage. So they're going to have to split it up. I think it's smarter not to spend so much money on the wedding. Save the money, buy a house,
Yes.
Do something special with it, create a memory, go on a fabulous vacation with your now spouse. Do something other than spending it on jewelry.
To spend a couple of $100,000 on a wedding for 4 hours just doesn't seem to be worthwhile. I think that you can have a small wedding, an intimate wedding, spend money on a on a honeymoon and spend the money on a house, or make yourselves financially stable by putting that money in the bank or investing it.
Or elope and do a destination wedding with just your immediate family and best friends and anyone else who's willing to fly there.
$100,000 weddings and $500,000 weddings are just the biggest waste of money. They are only there for the parents to show off to their friends or to pay back their friends for weddings that they have gone to. I remember being under the huppah. The rabbi was marrying me and my husband, and someone was knocking on the windows of the door that led into it. They were an hour and a half late coming into this. These are people who were my parents' friends who didn't think enough to get to the wedding on time. And there they are knocking on the door. And I just smushed them, told them to go away.
Oh,
There's
wow.
nothing else I could do. You're trying to ruin my marriage. The parents want to have a wedding and spend money on it for themselves. They're not interested in the children because it gets to be so involved. It's unbelievable.
Having been through an over-the-top wedding before, I agree it's a waste of money. The bride and groom don't have a chance to really enjoy it. You know, there's too much going on. There are too many people to say hello to. They don't have a moment to spend time together. And I think the money could be better spent on buying a house for the new couple or doing something else with it, providing for their retirement. Now, if you have an unlimited budget, that's a different conversation. Then enjoy it all you want. But sometimes it makes parents and even grandparents extremely happy to do that for their kids and for their grandkids. So I think it depends on the circumstances of the people.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have the money, don't go into debt for it. It just doesn't make any sense. As far as engagement rings, I think that you should have a conversation before you go ring shopping and make sure you're on the same page financially. And that will prevent a lot of problems during the course of your marriage.
Yes, not only about engagement rings, but about your finances totally, and your plans and your financial situation totally. That's what needs to happen for a really healthy start on a marriage.
And definitely always get a prenup.
Yes, I know that it is not romantic to talk about finances before you buy the engagement ring, before you talk about the wedding, but it's necessary. It's just necessary to have a forever and ever marriage and live happily ever after.
But you know what's even less romantic? Getting yourself into debt and ruining your financial life, pretending to be something that you're not.